What's up, college football fans? Sonoy Valente here with the Mean Green Show, and I'm joined here with Jared Kalmus from the UTSA. When the Alamo Dome podcast, what's the podcast?
Alamo Dome Audible.
Alamo Dome Audible. So check that out, guys. And you know the drill. Once again, if you're a fan of college football recruiting, transfer portal, and G5 football, consider hitting that like and subscribe button because that is all we talk about. All right. So Jared, thanks for coming on, man. I know you're a busy guy. And, just really looking forward to diving in a little bit of, UTSA and what you guys have going on right now. And as, we all know, me being a North Texas guy, I'm not really a fan of what you guys have going on, but, I'm here to talk about it. So 2018 as well, you guys go 3-9. 2019, you guys go 4-8. 2020, 7-5 while going 5-2 in conference play. Jeff Taylor came in and, made an immediate impact. And, how are the fans feeling about Coach Taylor? Like how's the field down there in San Antonio?
It's certainly like a honeymoon period for sure. I mean, maybe one of the top three seasons for UTSA's program through its very short history. So obviously things are looking great. Recruiting has been fantastic under Traylor. He's got good connections in the community already. He's been able to reach out and bring some people back in the program that had kind of phased out or, had some conflict with the previous regime. So definitely like public relations part of it's really good. On the field, UTSA fans were like really, if you watch any UTSA games during the end of the Frank Wilson era, the offense was just non-existent.
Yeah.
It was like watching paint dry.
Yeah.
Frank Wilson's at Mini State now, and I watched Mini State play UNLV spring football.
Is it Coach Orgeron or Orgeron, whatever how you pronounce it? Isn't his son the QB there?
Yeah. And it was so funny because it was just like watching a UTSA game from 2 years ago. Like you can tell like Coach O's son was really talented as a quarterback, but like the offense was super predictable. They only threw the ball, 5 yards downfield, and it was just like deja vu.
Yeah.
So then you can, kind of contrast that with Jeff Traylor's style. Like his first game, we go and play, Texas State, 1A, 1B rival next to UNT.
Right.
And just right out of the gate, they scored in 3 plays, like a 60-yard rushing touchdown. And we saw that throughout the whole season, few sputters here and there. But even with quarterback injuries and shuffling on the offensive line repeatedly, the offense looked great. It looked like a modern offense. So the fans are really excited about that. Even if UTSA is going to lose, it's a lot better to lose a game that you score 30 points in than to lose 10-3. Like we saw in the Frank Wilson sometimes. So.
And you guys were in it. Who are you guys? I can't think of it right now, but there were some big games that you guys were in that you. Oh wait, BYU. Yeah, that's the one. And it was like holy crap, man, that was pretty.
Yeah, and that was with a third string quarterback too.
Dude, that's
really
what was the score on that one? Do you know the score?
I don't recall it from my head, but it was.
I think
like
it was
within
a
score too.
Yeah. It was super like it might have even been like a few points if I don't know, but it was close. And with a third string QB, that's pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So shifting gears a little bit over to Sincere McCormick, obviously last year he put up, over 1,400 yards, with 11 TDs in 2020, earning first team all conference. And, do you think that he's the heartbeat of the offense as far as the offense moves through him?
Certainly. Frank Harris does a lot of quarterback for sure. He can make magic out of thin air. But this offense is not effective without Sincere doing his thing back there. He's one of those. Even in his bad games, you just sit there and you watch, and at some point, third or fourth quarter, he's going to pop a big one, and he's like instant offense. So it's huge, definitely. There's a lot of talented pieces of an offense around him, but he elevates that offense to a whole different level. Absolutely.
Yeah, man. Do you think so? I know with year 0 and everything, he's going to be this will be his redshirt sophomore year. Mm-hmm. Not counting year 0, 2020.
I think he could play 3 more seasons if he wanted to.
Yeah,
which is insane.
Do you think after next season he might, try to, okay, maybe I'm gonna try my hand at the NFL? Or do you think?
Yeah. There's always a chance of that.
If he has another year like that, what more could he do that could help his stop?
Right, exactly. It's going to hit a point where he doesn't have much left that he can prove. You know what I'm saying? But, he's kind of an interesting back because he's not the fastest running back in America.
Yeah.
He's not very big. So, where he fits into the NFL offense is kind of a question mark.
Yeah.
His combine numbers are probably not going to be that great, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm sure there's going to be a team that takes a chance on him and, maybe picks him up in a late round of the draft. But I don't see him leaving as a second round pick or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
just due to his physical limitations. But obviously, his patience, his balance, just his
Vision.
ability to
Yeah.
make plays out of the backfield.
Mhm.
He's dynamic, right? But
Yeah.
he's going to have questions that he'll have to answer, around his physicality and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was watching the UTSA UNT game last night. Just I didn't watch the whole thing, but just rewatching it was brutal. But there was one play that really stuck out for me by McCormick, where it was just like a slant play. He just stopped, just saw the hole the other way, and he like gouged us for like 20.
Yeah, I know the exact run you're
Yeah,
talking about.
man. And it was just like explicit, explicit. But I mean, good on his part. But yeah, so that's interesting, man. That is interesting. So, another thing Coach Taylor, has done during his short tenure there, has definitely brought the recruitment way up. I think you guys were, what were you guys? I think you guys were 9th in the conference in 2020 with your recruiting class. Currently, you're at 2020, or currently in the 21 class, you're first in the conference. That's a huge jump. Why do you think he's having such success on the recruiting trail? Like, it's so quickly.
Yeah, well, I think it's a few things. First off, like UTSA has been decent in recruiting, just along the span. Being located in San Antonio, like they can have 3-star guys come in to visit and just take a day trip and not even have to make it an official visit. So like that's a huge advantage. Playing in the Alamo Dome is super attractive to a lot of kids because you got to keep in mind people in San Antonio and RGV and stuff like that. Like when they're in the playoffs for high school, they go and they drive to San Antonio and they play in Alamo Dome, right? So a lot of recruits have like really positive, associations with it. And,
right.
It's a nice area that UTSA is in, with the La Cantera Mall there and, Six Flags and all that.
Right.
So there's been pretty good recruiting success at UTSA in general. Haven't really had the right coaches to take advantage of the talent level. But, as far as like what Coach Traylor does specifically, that's been effective on the recruiting trail. I think he's been good at targeting transfers and not just grabbing a guy because they went to a P5 school. Like he just got a transfer out of Tulane who didn't even start. He just sat out his first year at Tulane. But like I like him better than a lot of the P5 guys that the previous staff brought in.
Yeah.
But he started his career as a Texas high school football coach. He's a legend in the Texas high school football coaching ranks. He won I don't even know how many state titles when he was at Gilmer. He's coached at UT, he's coached at SMU, he's coached at Arkansas. So he's got really strong connections just across the whole state. He's one of those coaches, like, I think if any high school coach in Texas were to call him up and say, hey, I got this guy, you should take a look at him, he's going to watch that film, right? Yeah. So he's going to find some hidden gems that fall through the cracks. And I think like his ability to create connections with coaches and parents and stuff like that helps land a lot of these guys that probably wouldn't end up at a school like UTSA or G5 in general, otherwise.
Yeah, and you guys have really stepped up the aggression in the portal. It seems like, which with G5 schools like ours, I feel like that's pretty smart. We see SMU do it; they have a lot of success. FAU does it. Obviously, they have a lot of success. You guys are now starting to do it, and we're starting to do it as well. We're probably not quite as aggressive as you guys yet in the portal, but I hope we're going there. But are you a fan of kind of portal plundering, if you will?
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of G5 fans have a negative connotation of the transfer portal because they see guys that go on to bigger names, and that will happen. But I think people also lose track of how many guys from the P5 that are second and third string drop down to the G5 level and make a huge impact right out of the gate.
It's crazy long list. Yeah,
UTSA guy named Charles Wiley. He came in at like hybrid defensive end linebacker, and he was like a second string guy at Ole Miss. I think he had like 30 tackles this season before he got to UTSA. But he came to UTSA and played all conference level production. Yeah. Right. So like the one guy maybe once every 2 years that you lose to a P5 school that goes to a Texas Tech, or something like that. You're probably getting 5-6 guys every year if you're playing it right. That might not be as good as the guy that you lost, but overall it's a net positive for your program.
Yeah, and kind of staying on the recruiting subject. So out of this 21 class, do you happen to know if you have any at all, and if you guys do, the number of scholarships you guys have left remaining for the 21 class, if any at all?
It's about 2 or 3, something like that.
Okay,
we're kind of unsure because a lot of guys ended up doing their super senior season for next year that we weren't expecting to come back.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting to see where the numbers lie. But on signing day, it was around 2 or 3.
Yeah, cool. So the guys you guys currently have, you have like a top 3 maybe as far as like, the signees that you're most excited about from the 21 class?
Yeah, it's this is a really strong class. Obviously,
Yeah.
they're ranked number one. So
Yeah.
it's hard to whittle it down. But
Yeah.
I think first off, like kind of like the crown jewel of the class is Jamori Robinson.
Yeah.
He's a JUCO transfer. He's one of the
Mhm.
highest rated recruits UTSA's ever landed.
Yeah.
And
I thought he was going to Auburn, man. I was hoping he was going to come to UNT though. Like I would, before even Auburn was like, I wanted to see him here. And do you happen to know? Because I know he was verbal to you guys, and he kind of decommitted. Then he's back.
Yeah. So the story there is like he had interest from, I don't know, 20 programs or something like that.
Right.
And he verbally committed to UTSA because his teammate Nick Evans committed to UTSA. And I guess they were trying to play together. And a lot of the big programs, they didn't want Evans, but they wanted Robinson, right?
Right.
And UTSA is one of the few that like, we'll take both of you guys.
Right.
So Evans stayed committed to UTSA, Robinson decommitted. And leading up to National Signing Day, all the talk out there was that he was going to sign with South Carolina. But on National Signing Day, South Carolina ended up signing a different JUCO pass rusher. So they kind of left him with that home, and he already had that relationship with UTSA. So there you go, right?
Yeah.
So I think he's still trying to get his eligibility lined out. So he might not play until the following season. But if he's able to go this year, that's going to be a game changer for UTSA.
Oh,
they don't have like a premier pass rusher right now.
Yeah.
Like,
is it like
sacks? But
is it a great thing? Because I mean, he's coming up from JUCO. You would think. I mean, it is okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So who else you guys pumped about besides?
So there is a freshman running back coming in, Anthony Lewis. So he comes from the same program that Shawn Mccormick played at. He was Sincere's heir, apparently.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he was expected to sign with Colorado. He had a few other P5 offers as well. I mean, he probably is more purely talented than Sincere as far as athleticism goes. I don't know if he has Sincere's like flow for the game.
Right.
But as far as like size and speed and all that, he's going to be home run. I think best case for him is he has a season like Oscar Attaway had for you guys last year. Like if he's able to do that, I'll be really excited for his future.
Yeah.
Definitely keep an eye
all right, give me one more. If you had to narrow it down just to one more.
It's tough. I'm going to go with Ron Tatum though. He's going to be defensive end for UTSA. He's probably going to step in and start day one. So he came from JUCO, but he started his career at Oklahoma. And he was a 4-star recruit coming out of high school. And he's only a sophomore too. So UTSA will get a few years out of him. And he probably won't be like the pass rusher that Robinson can be. But against the run, I think he's going to be really, really tough and cause a lot of havoc, tackles for loss and stuff like that.
Interesting stuff, man. All right. So kind of shifting a little bit more specifically to the UNT UTSA in-conference rivalry that we have. So I'm not by any means saying it's over or we past tense, but we did, UNT, we had a good little run there for about 3 years with Mason Fine. And, it was a lot of fun, and I think we went 3-0 with you guys. I think, did you guys ever beat us with Fine?
I think so.
Yeah. Maybe you guys beat us with him when his freshman year, maybe. And then I think,
I think that's right.
Yeah. And I think we went 3-0 from there. So yeah, a lot of fun. But also though, you guys weren't really having the most successful seasons during that time.
Yep.
And now the tables have kind of turned in this last year where you guys obviously turned up on us and really put on a spectacle. But obviously our year wasn't that great either. How do you feel? I mean, I feel like it would be beneficial for both programs if we could be successful as well as being you know what I mean? Like, okay, one of us obviously has to win or lose, when we meet each other. But if we could both have success up until that game, I just feel like it would grow that game's, meaning, not just the UTSA and UNT, but more conference, in conference teams will like have their eyes on the game. Like, oh, that's a big one. Like, who's gonna, because that, you know what I mean? Like, who's gonna be like?
It's like when Memphis and UCF play each other.
Yes,
they're not official rivals, but they're both going to be ranked.
Yes,
it's going to get on ABC.
Yes.
At the Conference USA level, like if we could get the UTSA UNT game to be on
stadium or something,
that's a huge win. But I think, look, if you think about it,
and we're both Texas schools, you know what I mean? Like football's king here. Let's call it for what it is.
But I think it's tough. It's like I don't know if there's room for both programs to be great at the same time because like Louisiana Tech and UAB are so solid and they're so consistent that like they're going to be in competition for the top 2 teams in division every year, right? So it's like not everyone can be at the top, and like I don't know if there's room right now for both UTSA and UNT to be good in the same year.
Yeah.
because it would require. I think it would require Louisiana Tech and UAB to kind of slide off a little bit. That day will probably come, but
Yeah.
in the short term, they've got really good coaches of those two
Mhm.
programs. So
Man,
we'll see
and
how it goes. But
I
whenever
take
these two programs are fighting it out for first place, that's going to be a fun time for sure.
that will be a fun time. That will be a fun time. And I get a lot of heat from UAB people and some law tech people because I say this kind of a lot, but it's just it always upsets me when I see especially Metroplex kids go to law tech or UAB.
Mhm.
Even if they go SMU over UNT, I'm not really. I mean, I'm upset, but it's like whatever. Okay, that's I know it's still G5, but it's the AAC. A little bit more money involved there. But when they choose another Conference USA school that's like in Ruston or Birmingham, which I've been to those places, and I'm just like, why? Like, it just frustrates me. So, if we could just kind of keep those kids here in Texas, then maybe, we wouldn't have to worry so much about Louisiana Tech and UAB. But yeah, they're both super solid programs, and UNT has to play them, like in our schedule's a gauntlet, man. It's tough. I think we have UAB and La Tech like within the first 5 weeks, maybe. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it's pretty nuts. But so who do you think? Okay, I mean, because even whenever we had our run with Mason Fine, honestly, every time that UTSA and UNT played, I never felt good. I was just like, even if we were favored, I was just like, oh crap, I don't know. And UTSA just always seems to, have our numbers some way, shape, or form, or make it uncomfortably close. And you know what, like, but how do you guys view UNT? Whenever, we like coming into this, but I know obviously we know the outcome, but before that, were you guys super confident, or were you guys like, oh, okay, we still got to be like cautious? What was the feel?
I don't know. It probably depends on who you ask.
Yeah.
For me, I was definitely like need to be cautious camp because
Yeah.
it's still Self the Trails offense,
Yeah.
and there's still a ton of explosive athletes. And UTSA's defensive back was kind of, hit or miss last year. They ended up progressing throughout the season, but I think anytime it's a rivalry game and the opposing offense has that quick strike ability, like that's always going to give me, cause for concern.
Yeah.
And it'll be the same way next year.
Yeah.
I'm not super high on UNT heading the season, but Seth's still an offensive genius, so he's going to find a way to put points on the board. So
yeah, man, and I mean, I wish we would have won, in 2020, but kind of coming in from a UNT fan, like being that we got blown out, no one's going to expect us to really do anything. And I kind of like that feeling of like playing with house money and kind of like, I'm trying to speak objectively here. And I mean what I'm about to say, not just from a fan, but we do have really good athletes. We've had top recruiting classes in the conference for many years now. So the athletes are there. So it's just like, can our defense get it right? Can we get a quarterback in there that can hold the ball the right way and just not go 3-and-out? Because a lot of like in the UTSA game, man, I think it was Bean was the QB predominantly for that game, if I remember correctly, and there's a lot of 3-and-outs. A lot of 3-and-outs, and that gasses a defense. So if we can just limit that and get our new defense, and maybe so I'm excited for the UTSA game. I always am, and definitely a big circle on my schedule.
Yeah, let me tell you, like from the other side of the fence, like my friends and I, we look at UNT right now and we see the exact same team that UTSA was 2 years ago. Where they're not winning games, the locker room's not great.
Yeah,
there's not buy-in, but the athletes are there.
Yeah,
and overnight, whether it's a new coach or new coordinator or what, but
yeah,
when you have talent on the roster, that switch can flip at any time.
Yeah,
you're competitive overnight. So.
Yeah, and that's one thing I admire about Conference USA. You see Southern Miss go in the last game of the season and just upset FAU, and like what the heck is that? Nobody, like myself included, who would have expected that? So I don't know. I think it's almost like an any given Sunday type of atmosphere in our conference play. So I think it's interesting.
It probably hurts the conference in the long run because we don't have.
No, it does. Yeah, it definitely does.
The entertainment standpoint is good if you're already a fan.
Yeah, I know, man. I feel like the Sun Belt is starting to really catch up to Conference USA, and it sucks because UNT left the Sun Belt for Conference USA. Back when Houston was a part of Conference USA and all that, and I don't know. I hate to see the tide turns and the tide turn, and hopefully we can. UTSA and UNT can save the day and bring this conference back, and FAU. And
well, if Conference USA ever makes a turnaround, it's going to be because programs like these and FAU and FIU take that next step. And that's what the vision was for Conference USA from day one, and it's probably taken longer than the conference had hoped, but the potential's still there.
All right. So before we end things here, I gotta ask you, man. I'm not trying to throw a bunch of shade at your school, but okay, are you a fan of the mascot, man? A road runner? You like that?
Yeah, I think so. It's unique and it's specific to the region. So I do like it. I like the meet thing.
Yeah.
But I will tell you. So back in, I don't know, like the 80s, I guess, when UTSA was first starting their athletics program, they had students like run a campaign where they could pick on the mascot and then pick on the most votes would win. Well, one of those options was the armadillo, and I really wish the armadillo would have won. That would have been so sick. But yeah, I do like the Roadrunner. It's unique for sure.
All right. Well, as long as you guys like it, I mean, I'll always poke fun at it from afar.
Yeah,
but
that's fair.
Well, all right, Jared. I mean, anything else that we need to touch on that we might have skipped over?
No, man, it's a pleasure talking with you. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for coming on. And, once again, guys, let us know what you think of the video. If you have any, comments, if you agree or disagree with anything we said, let us know in the comments below. And yeah, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And Jared, once again, thanks so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, absolutely. My pleasure.
All righty.